We're probably a lot alike, you and I. I love a high-end smartphone, and I'm sure you do too. The bells and whistles, the Galaxy S4 Air Views, and the Zoes, and the Blink feeds that the One has. We all love those bells and whistles and those goodies. You probably wouldn't be here if you didn't like those. But you know what? Not everybody needs a high-end smartphone. I know it's kind of hard to imagine, but really, not everybody needs a high-end smartphone. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com, and for that person in your life that doesn't need a high-end smartphone, this little sucker, the Nokia Lumia 521, is a new Nokia device on T-Mobile, and it packs some decent specs, but better yet, it packs an awesome price tag at 150 bucks. So 1.5 Benjamins can get you this device, no contract, and you can walk out with Windows Phone 8. Is it a good device for your grandma, your mom, maybe even as a side smartphone for you? We'll find out in the full Phone Dog review, which starts right now. I really like this device, and possibly on a grander scale, I really like the fact that Windows Phone 8 can do this with mid-range devices, and you don't lose a whole lot of the functionality. Now, don't get me wrong, you get a Lumia 920 or a 925 or a Windows Phone 8X, you're going to get a device that's got the highest of the highest, at least in Windows Phone land. It's going to have a dual-core processor, it's going to have an HD display most likely, it's going to have an 8-megapixel camera or a Xenon flash. But what I like about this is the core functionality, for the most part, of Windows Phone 8 is the same on this device as it is on the $400 and the $500 Windows Phone devices. This is the Lumia 521 coming very soon to T-Mobile. Actually, it's available right now on T-Mobile, but the real win here, 150 bucks without a contract. You can walk out the door paying 150 and actually a little bit cheaper at Walmart, if I recall. I want to say it's $130 at Walmart, and you get Windows Phone 8 and some pretty decent specifications for a device that's 150 smackers. 1 gigahertz Snapdragon S4 processor, you've got 512 megabytes of RAM, more than enough to run Windows Phone 8, a 4-inch display, 480 by 800 pixels. You've got a battery in this thing as well that has a pretty decent milliamp hour rating. And then I'll get back to that in just a second. 5-megapixel camera with 720p HD video recording. And I want to say the battery, I was getting back to it because, to be totally honest with you, I forgot the milliamp hour rating on this device. So I'm going to go back here and cheat. 1,430 milliamp hour battery. Micro SD card slot right here, micro SIM card slot right here, and then the camera on the back, of course, like I said, 5-megapixel camera. And yes, you lose out on the flash, and this is what you lose, obviously, with the fact that it's a $150 device, but still, really a nice performing device all around. So for 150 bucks, this may be the best no contract device out there on the market for the price right now. Now out of the box, it's a T-Mobile device, and I should point out it does not support T-Mobile's LTE connectivity. So the maximum it does peak out at is HSPA plus 21 megabits per second. So keep that in mind as you're looking at this device, maybe as a backup for you or a phone for mom or grandma. If you're in an LTE market on T-Mobile, you may want to look at something else, but otherwise really impressed all around with this device. Now I'm going to stop for just a second and thank our partners at Best Buy Mobile because they do some awesome things for us, including giving us these devices like this that we just give to you for free on the site at PhoneDog.com's Instant Win Game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working, whether it's T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, Nokia, Samsung. They'll make sure whatever you get, you walk out knowing how to make it work, and they'll make sure you're good to go. It's part of their walkout working program. It is pretty cool. But back to the review here. We'll see what comes in the box, at least on the software side. 411 and more I can't talk today. Angry Birds Roost. Is what the game is called. Angry Birds Roost, Caller Tunes on the T-Mobile side. You get Cinematograph, all the different lenses installed with the camera, which if you watched my Nokia Lumia 928 video review, huge thing for me that they haven't done in recent Windows Phone devices. I'll talk about that in just a second. Xbox games, of course, all the Nokia applications here, Drive, here Maps, here Transit. So again, reinforcing my point that this phone's 150 bucks, and for a lot of ways, or in a lot of ways rather, it's got applications, it's got stuff that's very similar to a high-end Windows Phone 8 device. It's not like an Android device where you're stuck with gingerbread when every other device has ice cream sandwich or jelly bean. So keep that in mind. You really are getting a quality experience here, even though it's only 130 or 150 bucks, depending on where you buy it. 4-inch display may be on the small side for people, but then again, that's the same size as the iPhone 5 display. So if you're comfortable with that, you should be comfortable with this. So back to the applications though. My Account, Nokia Music, of course the Office stuff here as well. More lenses, Scout, let's see, Slacker Radio, T-Mobile TV, Transfer My Data, Wallet, and that's about it on the T-Mobile side. And you can see the way it's pre-configured out of the box. Now I've changed the colors around in the background, which you can do thanks to the personalization that comes with Windows Phone 8, but I'm going to talk about the body here for just a second. The battery cover is removable. It's white on the back, and then of course black on the front, so a two-tone look and feel here in terms of the device's overall aesthetic. volume rocker over on the right side, power button over here on the right, camera shortcut button, usual bells and whistles you'd expect from a Windows Phone 8 device, micro USB charging port at the bottom, and of course your capacitive buttons down here at the bottom, back, home, and then Bing as well, search, or also known as Bing, along with your T-Mobile logo down here at the bottom. So pressing and holding back brings up your multitasking. This is a pretty familiar experience if you've worked at all with Windows Phone 8 devices. But I want to highlight a couple of things here. The keyboard, for example, because it is a 4-inch display. And of course, I've talked at length about my little bugs and little quirks and things that annoy me about Windows Phone 8. One of those, if you haven't watched a Windows Phone 8 video that I've done before, the keyboard. Take a look at all the dead space over here on the left. They really can maximize that more, but they don't, because there's this little signal strength indicator bar that hides, and even when it hides, the keyboard doesn't expand out. So you're getting a pretty equal keyboard experience regardless of whether you're in portrait or in landscape mode. The quick brown fox is happy that it is Tuesday, because that's not Monday. And my typing appears to have gotten worse. But you get the idea here. Of course, like I said, I have the light color scheme here, and we can take a look at that really quickly. So, of course, you can customize the live tiles, as I've talked about in previous Windows Phone 8 videos. You can make them larger, smaller. There are 3 different sizes, and I should point out that not all applications support that. So, for example, Outlook does support that, as you just saw me maximize it, and you saw the 3 different sizes. Phone supports that. I can make it smaller, I can make it huge, I can make it back to what it was. As you can see here, I can really customize this and make it my own, not just with the size of the tiles, but the color as well. So I can go in here to settings, click on that, bring up theme, and then I can see crimson. I can change it to, for example, cobalt, and I can change the theme back to dark and use cobalt and be back in business. No, if you saw my reflection, I was not picking my nose, I was itching my nose. So keep that in mind. I know there's going to be a YouTube comment about that. So nipping it in the bud, kids. Nipping it in the bud. Another thing I want to point out is the camera here. 5-megapixel camera on this device. Nothing amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but keeping in mind that you're paying 150 bucks, I'll bring over the Galaxy camera here just so we can take a look at it and how it performs. And it seems to highlight pretty well on Samsung. And of course, I can go in between my live camera and my gallery, pinch to zoom, responsive. So again, thanks to Windows Phone 8 and the way that it works, you're getting a pretty decent device here for 150 bucks. That specs-wise, yes, it's not the greatest, not the latest by any stretch of the imagination, but still pretty fluid, still pretty fast for a phone that is 150 bucks. The bang for the buck wise, this is probably, if not my favorite device on the market right now, our favorite low-end device in the market, definitely in the top 3 all around. So no flash in this device, but what you do get is the lenses pre-installed. Bing Vision always comes out of the box, but you get panorama, cinematograph, and smart shoot. We talked about previous Nokia devices and previous Windows Phone 8 devices. They don't come with this pre-installed, and it drives me nuts because I'm like, the average consumer is not going to think to go to the store and download panorama or download cinematograph. Basically, they're like little software attachments on your camera. Those should come out of the box, and Nokia was always like, well, we think it's better for the consumer experience. Fortunately, now you can get those out of the box, and that's evident on the 928, evident on the 925, as I tested it in Las Vegas, and then evident on the 521. So glad to see that they're moving forward with that in comparison to something, for example, like the 920, as you can see here, which I'm using as part of my 30-day challenge. Do not have any out of the box, just Bing Vision. So you can get the idea of how they changed that to make it a little bit more consumer friendly. Now I'll show you the browser as well. So keep in mind, 4-inch display may be small for you. It's not necessarily going to be the most content creative device, or I should say, if you're going to browse the web and watch videos and do all kinds of things with your phone, this may not be the ideal experience for you, but still, phone dock loading up, portrait to landscape, nice and responsive. This phone has little to no lag. Again, keeping in mind that this phone is like 1.5 Benjamins, 150 bucks. I'm really impressed with the performance of it. Compare this to a $150 Android device, and you'd be pretty disappointed, to be quite frank with you. $150 out of the box, no contract, I should say. So really, really nice there. Of course, you get the Office suite, and then you get all of the Here stuff, including Here Transit, Here Maps, and then Here Drive. And I'll go into Here Drive, for example, so you can take a look at it. Go to the store. It actually hasn't been installed on this device yet. We'll back out of that because we don't have time to install it. Here Transit. Take a look at it and see if it's pre-installed. We'll start it up so you can see. Skipping detection. Journey Planner, Transit Nearby, History. I love these applications because Nokia is staking it all on Windows Phone 8, and that continues to be evident, but it's nice that you get these on the cheapest phone that's available from Nokia, at least for the Lumia line. So Nokia Music here as well. There's a free version and then there's a paid version, so you can come in right out of the box and start using Nokia Music. Take advantage of that. Now again, as I said in the intro or in the preliminary text talking about the specs, no LTE capability on this device, so keep that in mind. But you do get HSPA Plus up to 21 megabits per second. Nokia Music here as well. All the goodies, all the bells and the whistles. You can combine this with T-Mobile's prepaid plan and really save some money in your wallet. Keep that money in that little billfold of yours. Mix radio. Yes, let's listen online. Of course we'll listen. We're on Wi-Fi, as you can see right there. For whatever reason, I don't have any T-Mobile active SIM cards right now in my review unit, so I wasn't able to get one for this. This one did not come with one, but top mixes, for example, we'll just take a look at it and see what it looks like. Most played country, my favorite genre, and we'll go in here and close it out taking a look at Nokia Music. So overall, really a capable device for 150 bucks. This is something that wouldn't have a problem carrying myself. It's got some decent specifications, and of course, my music is coming up right now with the Nokia applications, with the Windows ecosystem. It's not necessarily up to par as iOS or Androids. Probably should pause that while I talk. Not necessarily up to par with those, but still, for 150 bucks, you get Office compatibility, you get Xbox compatibility, and all of Nokia's applications, not to mention a fluid performer all around. Highly recommend this within that $150 price point. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for more on the Nokia Lumia 521. I'm on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron, Facebook, Facebook.com/Hi Aaron Baker. Pound it, yeah. Ding, 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 ding. And on Google Plus at GenePlus.to/PhoneDog. Thanks so much for watching. More to come on the 521 and other budget devices for that matter on PhoneDog.com. I'll see you next time.